substantial diversity and inclusion strategy can help organizations attain top talent, driving innovation outcomes. We believe that inclusive cultures make people feel valued and proud of where they come from, of their culture. Diversity in the workplace stats show that inclusive companies are more likely to succeed in the years to come. Today, we use this platform, this very virtual and interactive platform, to bring to you experts who will be sharing their experience and helping you on how you can enable your company to accelerate change, enhance performance, and retain top talent. We'll also be discussing the structures and processes that are emerging as companies integrate D&I in their DNA. We'd like to begin with our chief guest address on championing inclusivity and diversity in workforce. Yes, indeed, I am talking about none other than Dr. Kiran Bedi, former Lieutenant Governor Puducherry, former DG, founder of India Vision and Navjyoti India Foundation.
It's been such an honor being invited by such a prestigious forum. Let me begin by saying, first of all, what I think, what literature says about diversity and inclusion. It means embracing. It means encompassing. It means being comprehensive. It means all options. It means all together. It means all around. It means across the board. Across the board. It means without exception. And it also means co-option. It also means collaboration. It means all together. That's what inclusivity, and that's what your focus of conference is on innovation, diversity, and inclusion for good business. I say for good governance, for good quality of life. Wherever you are, after all, you're governing, administrating for quality of life, enhancing quality of life, and benefiting in all. Mother Teresa said, what you can do, what I cannot do. I can do what you cannot do. Together, the word is together, we can do great things. That's what Mother said. That's why Mother was a Nobel laureate. Nobel, she co-opted, she was inclusive, she was innovative, and she brought an entire diversity into her homes. What is diversity? It's the art of thinking independently and together. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give another person is simply to include them. What is inclusion? It's the key to growth. So if any one of us is keen on growth, keen on human quality life, humanity and peace, then inclusivity, innovation is key, and comprehension, all embracing, encompassing people is the key to growth. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Our next session is a keynote address on how to successfully get top leadership engaged in D&I. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Ms. Divya Gopalnath, co-founder Byju's.
Today, I'm going to speak about diversity, and I am a strong believer of that because I've seen the benefits firsthand. I've seen how it allows for a multidimensional approach to both problem solving and solution creation. And that's so important. Tech companies which solve problems at scale, right? So it's important that we have and are constantly arriving at innovative solutions. So many different problems in the world today, and different points of view always lead to the creation of a product or a service that solves multiple needs, because there isn't a single solution to any problem, but there are different variations to it. So diversity ensures that you take all points of view, as you move forward. So it isn't an organization alone that can ensure that there is an equal representation. I believe that there's an entire ecosystem involved, right from a family, friends, and organization, leadership, outside mentorship support. So there are so many things, but I think the main key to maintaining diversity in an organization is to ensure that there is diversity in the core team, the team which forms the group that takes the entire leadership forward, the founding team, so to say, right? So if there is diversity there, it trickles automatically throughout the organization, and we've seen that happen at Byju's. The balance starts right on the top. 33% of the people in the 33% of our board is women, 50% of our top management is women, and 40% of our entire company is women. So this This clearly shows that if you ensure diversity on the top, it's started to take care. It will automatically be taken care throughout the organization. So if you ask me, this topic of diversity and inclusion, it starts at home, it enters the office, and it impacts the world, right, in a way. And each of us, every one of us, have our roles to play, our unique roles to play, to ensure that we have a more diverse, we have a more inclusive society that provides equal opportunities for everyone. Thanks a lot.
In most conversations around inclusion and diversity, we usually hear diversity being mentioned before inclusion. But here at KPMG, we believe in creating a culture of inclusion before focusing on diversity. Now, if you think about it, diversity is the easier and the simpler of the two to drive. Be it gender, sexual orientation, disability, or ethnicity, it is easier to set recruiting and retention targets and work towards them. Inclusiveness, on the other hand, like the proverbial iceberg, 90% of it is below the surface, where our core beliefs, our value systems, our experiences, our unique context, and our unconscious biases come into play. Therefore, while we had a robust process in place to drive diversity, it is even more foundational for us to create an inclusive culture. We truly believe that our greatest strength lies in our uniqueness and the ability to welcome it in others without prejudice. Ensuring a diverse and inclusive environment has been key to our people strategy. The tone has been set from the top, with leaders of the organization firmly behind the agenda. This priority gets executed not just by the dedicated team in HR, but in close partnership with the I&D Council, which has representations from every business and functions. Our hiring strategy underpins the need for hiring diversity through specific drives, tracking matrices, and opening up talent pool to segments like returning mothers, LGBTQ, people with disabilities, etc. We have focused leadership development programs for our future women leaders. All our policies are gender neutral. Our benefits cater to unique needs of all segments of our workforce. Our retention rates for women colleagues are far higher compared to our male colleagues. The COVID-19 pandemic and the resultant change in the workplace expectations has presented us with even greater opportunities. That's through significantly greater flexibility in working hours, options for second career, options for those with visible or unnoticeable disabilities, and so on. We continue to analyze the needs, assess the options, implement initiatives, and evolve our policies that help nurture our people and allow them to bring their whole selves to work every day. Our intent is to be a workplace where each one of us is able to authentically and fearlessly be exactly who we are.
And inclusive leadership helps you to really tap the diversity of talent in a very strong manner. At Henkel, one of the key success for innovation and creativity, we strongly believe, is because of tapping this diversity and inclusion in a very, very strong manner and continuing this culture. Diversity and inclusion brings in a strong competitive edge and ensures a very successful organization built around the pillars of innovation and creativity, and fostering a very strong collaborative culture.
If you do not make women part of formal economy, that country cannot progress. And second thing, which has been proven across the industries, across the globe, is that if women make a reasonable share of top leadership of any company, the profitability and productivity of that company goes up. So this has been the mantra and the brand DNA for MG Motor India right from the start. I'm happy that we are 35% right now in terms of gender diverse talent in our company, and we want to be close to nature, which is 50%. So hopefully we should get there in a year's time or so.
Diversity gives variety. Variety gives creativity. Creativity gives innovation. Innovation gives satisfaction. Satisfaction gives joy of working and a sense of equity and inclusion, which in turn gives a great work culture, high productivity, great customer satisfaction, and low attrition. All this results in a great place to work, which in turn results in attracting the best talent. At Kone, we're highly focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. right from our leadership team for all the above reasons. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Economic Times Diversity and Inclusion Summit 2021. Next up, we bring you an exclusive panel discussion wherein industry experts address the gender gap for women in STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics field.
Today, we have a very interesting topic looking at the STEM part of it, how important this subject of STEM is to your organization. Over to you, Suraj.
STEM is going to be how loosely sometimes we talk about this word, which for us denotes everything and sometimes nothing. And when we look at engineers passing out, it's very myopic. And when we only look at what we can get versus what we can give, and that's where our focus has been. Our focus has been primarily on working on the pipeline, encouraging girls to take up STEM as a career opportunity. And it's something like farming. One needs to prepare the ground well before the seeds are sown and planted. And then once the seeds are sown, you have to ensure that you take care, you take support, you nurture it so that it yields 1,000 seeds moving forward. And that's what my experience has been. And I think sustainability is the focus for us currently at Airbus.
That Welspun, I understand that you have a women CEO, sir. How exactly are you nurturing women in STEM or women in your industry per se, internally in a virtual or a hybrid setup?
Fortunately for us, Dipali heads Welspun India, and she's a core proponent of empowerment, women empowerment. And fortunately for us, if you look at our data, we are 30% the women or diversity ratios we currently manage. And I think we are trying to do more enough for the women, gender and diversity from other genders as well. So we do a lot of activities in Welspun, whether it is nurturing them for talent programs. That's one. Secondly, I think what we keep doing is we have partnered with a couple of agencies from where we ensure that there is a continued intake of such resources that we are able to generate to ensure that our pipeline of hiring is higher. We also have groups in our plant location where there are groups of women who lead the engagement of other women folks in the plant geographies. We have very close engagement with the hostels where we accommodate them. We do a lot of activities in terms of their nutrition, their well-being. So plethora of activities that we do with women folks, and therefore I think we're able to manage a 30% diversity ratio, that too at a plant level, which is largely a trade-led, which probably women generally would hesitate to come in.
So I would like to move on to our friend Mizari from Israel. As a leader, what is your affirmative action towards strengthening women in STEM?
Actually, I recommend to hear me today, be brave and always tell yourself you're capable, and also know how to say it loud. Do not afraid, challenge yourself. That is the way to grow and succeed.
We are on the right path. Be it Israel or be it India, all of us are, we are working towards that common goal. World is flat, and I'm sure we can exchange a lot of ideas and thoughts as we go forward. Thank you very much.
Moving on, we bring you a Power Pack panel discussion on inclusive business model and the role of technology.
Will technology be the great leveler? Will it be the great force of good and the force of inclusion? Or will it only drive harder the lines that exist and drive deeper the wedges between us? Asfar, if I may invite you, please.
It's an interesting subject to talk about, because when we talk about diversity and inclusion, it starts from the question of identity. And technology plays a very critical role because it's created a new whole identity framework for all of us. Okay, so we would classify diversity on the differences that we may have. Now, technology helps actually give us a very unique identity in its own self. Further, it obviously enables us, there are enough programs, not only in the HR space of working, but in the HR, which is the training and the onboarding of talent that you find, in the enablement of employees, okay, and in bringing together platforms which bring out or reduce the gaps that are there. And we keep talking about wage differences between gender diversity. That's become a key focus in today's discussion, but diversity is a lot more than just gender diversity. So there are a lot of technologies available to enable and help us bridge those gaps out.
The fact that we are actually living in the middle of a life at scale social experiment with these new working models in the middle of the pandemic, what has it done to you in terms of, and your organization, in terms of working models? Dilip, over to you.
The way manufacturing has gone through tiding over this pandemic was a little different, because in manufacturing, you cannot adopt a hybrid model at your manufacturing facilities. I'm a great proponent of technology and digital, but at the same time, I would also have the views that technology per se will not really bring about change in the diversity and inclusion space. That is my view, because all said and done, AI, ML, machine, all of these finally are also influenced by human biases, because the machine keeps learning the way we make decisions. So what really needs a shift is a mindset shift. But at the same time, let me also say that technology to a large extent is helping us tide over some of these situations. And especially, I think the inherent bias around performance management is something which I believe objective performance management technology is really helping us. So I think that is one area where we really want to leverage technology to its fullest to make sure that all conscious, unconscious biases are removed and we bring in more diversity and inclusion there.
The technology actually increases transparency in the organization, and that cuts across several facets. Does this increasing transparency again help inclusion? And are there things to watch out for or mitigate? Sachin?
I was reading one of the reports from one of the consulting firm where it says 1 out of 5 HR professionals think that the technology is going to increase the biasness in the coming world. So what we're talking about here is a real problem statement. And I would probably talk about that little thing, that this whole virtual world, which is saying that, with this whole virtual world technology, there's a culture of always on, which we are seeing. And with that kind of environment culture, this is going to actually adversely impact certain segment of people, from diverse backgrounds, PWD, or people who have to manage multiple priorities. It is impacting them, and it is going to negatively impact them. So we know technology is enabled working from anytime, anywhere, round the clock. Transparency, people are working every time, responding, but also getting stress, and there would be a segment which will get adversely impacted. So we need to be cognizant of that.
Sudhesh, you come in.
One of the things around transparency is the concept of a team, I think, is going to change. And it started changing in many organizations. Typically, when we think about teams, we think about teams in terms of the hierarchy, right? But when you look at some of the business outcomes that many organizations are trying to get to, I think the power of a cross-functional team, right, really comes forth. A team would actually be a cross-functional group, which should include a products folks, which should include technology folks, delivery folks, client management folks, etc. Right? So I think the future is going to move towards those kind of operating models. And those operating models will bring in the power of diversity of thought. Those operating models will bring in the power of inclusion.
Very nice.
Does it create more transparency? Yes, it creates more transparency. But it also ultimately gets you to a more inclusive business outcome.
Welcome back to the Economic Times Diversity and Inclusion Summit 2021. Next up, we bring you a fireside chat on exploring the dimension of workplace diversity.
Meenu, you work in the disability space. I wanted to understand from you, are organizations even aware of the various disability types that exist?
Companies and organizations are at different stages of awareness. In 2016, Government of India passed the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, which recognizes 21 disabilities. There are many more disabilities even beyond those 21 disabilities. But most corporates, when they're starting their journey, they're not even aware that there are so many types of disabilities. Where do they start? They think RAMP, JAWS, sign language interpretation, and that is where it ends and it begins and it ends.
Beyond Access, as an organization, we are very mindful. We have a line which actually says "Come as you are," so that we respect people the way they are, whether it's a person with disability, whether the person happens to be a woman, whether a person person is a trans person. I personally belong to the LGBT community. I'm gay and I'm gender fluid. Of course, we need to have jobs which are specific to various people, but it's also important to say that all our jobs are open to everybody.
What do you think is the role of policies and systems in promoting inclusion at workplace?
There are organizations, just by saying, you'll think that these are empty words when you actually say that we respect people. And the reason why I'm able to speak as a queer person is because I have a dress code policy at work. I am able to bring my whole self to work. We have a policy, we have a human rights policy at work. So it's important to say that respect is not a choice. And it's important to put that in those many words. And those are the basis on which various other things you can build the organizational framework on the basis, at least the base work is that of policies. And to build equity becomes extremely important on that.
Yeah, I so agree with you, because I in my experience, I remember when I had joined my previous company, the first 3 months was like such a struggle. And I had told them that diversity and inclusion is not about numbers alone. Numbers you will get if you have policies and systems in place. Because if you do not have those in place, that means you are still discriminating. With that, I think I hand it over to Isha.
Thank you so very much, both of you all, for joining us. Let's hear from yet another leader presenting the closing address on empowered opportunities for cohesive inclusion and diversity is Ms. Neerja Birla, founder and chairperson, Aditya Birla Education Trust. Let's hear her.
The concept of equality for all has become the driving force for all human interactions. A diverse workplace is where equal work opportunities are provided to people irrespective of their gender, race, color of skin, religion, sexual orientation, age, socio-economic status, or cultural beliefs. And inclusivity is where differences between people are valued and organizational or systemic barriers to their participations and progress are eliminated. What matters most is that humankind has now embarked upon a journey to make this a reality. The benefits of D&I in any workplace are many and varied. When diverse people are included and valued, they're bound to work with more enthusiasm and passion. Productivity and profits are bound to go up. There is enough evidence to establish a clear correlation between a D&I culture and a company's fortunes. So many global brands are now rebranding themselves as D&I brands because they realize that when they celebrate diversity internally and externally, customers will want to buy their brand, and employees who are brand ambassadors will want to work for them. True diversity and inclusivity ensures that the most democratic company culture is possible. And this will attract the best and the most diverse talent to your company and retain it. The world is growing smaller. We are all global citizens. As workplaces grow more diverse, we need to tap into the collective intelligence of the workforce to make real progress. But tapping into the collective intelligence is only possible when we include everyone and treat everyone as equals. There has to be diversity and inclusivity in all fields and at all levels of every organizational structure. Most importantly, each one of us has a role to play in promoting diversity and inclusivity in our own workplaces and in our own little ecosystems. Let's do our bit for this movement. I'm doing mine. Are you? Thank you.
Thank all of you for being a part of the Economic Times Diversity and Inclusion Summit. On behalf of the entire team of ET Edge, this is Isha Bhalla, thanking you for joining us and staying tuned.